Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. I hope you're all doing well, and today, my friends, we're back with the Demons of Chaos vs. Wood Elf Showdown. It's going to be Zarevek, the Feathered Prince of Tzeentch, facing off against the Sisters of Twilight here on Needle Mist Isle. So this is one of the new maps in the Total Tavern Tournament map pack made by Medley. So let's get this party started, have some fun, break down the builds. It is going to be Plague Bearer spam now. I figured all the other demon infantry, let's just go through it. So if you look at Bloodletters, you're kind of wasting the armor piercing against Wood Elves, and they're a little bit squishy against missile fire. Same thing with Demonettes. Yes, they're fast and could potentially close the gap against the Wood Elves a little bit quicker, but they themselves are glass cannons. If they take charges from any sort of cavalry unit, any sort of bow units, even against Dryads, they probably will trade a little bit inefficiently. So that really just kind of leaves you with Plague Bearers as a core infantry unit. They have a massive HP pool, so if they're going to be eating arrows to the face, at least they're going to take it like champs. And they themselves are pretty good in combat. 30, 32 with poison and magic damage against Dryads being really good. 48 weapon strength. Honestly, feel like they're a decent choice. So it's going to be 2 Plague Bearers here, 3 in the center, and 1 Nurgling off on the Vanguard. Going to be pushing up on Objective 3. A little bit scary here. Professor Pone does have some Dryads waiting in the shadows to wreck those Nurglings. And this guy's a little bit of a meme. Obviously, I'm explaining the tactical reasons for some of these other units, but Uncle for Uncle, I just wanted to try him. You know, I haven't had a chance to really play him in like competitive games, so I'm like, let's get in here and try this bad boy out and see what he can do. Now, normally big monsters wouldn't be so good against Wood Elves, but I know this map has like some terrain and some features I can kind of use, so I'm like, let's give it a try. He does have Spirit Leech as well as Stream of Corruption, both good spells, and the Defiling Deluge. This basically does AoE damage and heals him, so yeah, let's give it a try. Zarevek, the Feathered Prince, really good. Blue Fire, Gaze of Fate, really solid character. And honestly, if you're not going to be going Bellicor on the Demons of Chaos, I think the Feathered Prince and Red Olgor. Red Olgor is okay situationally, but this guy is just an absolute beast because he's a good fighter too and has some really great magic. So that's it for Professor Pone's army. It's going to be the Sisters up on the Dragon. Very scary, incredibly tough to snipe. You have to be really like have a lot of finesse when you're trying to take them out. You have to get them low enough that it doesn't proc the heal and then go in for an alpha strike and chase them off the battlefield. And the Feathered Prince certainly has the tools to do it with Gaze of Fate and Blue Fire, so we'll see how that goes. The rest of the army is going to be Starfire Shafts, Deepwood Scouts, Swift Shiver Shards, and Aerial as well, which is actually a pretty good tech. I really like this from Professor Pone because she has a really good kit of magic, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Wood Elf players start to use Aerial more and more in games. She does have Dwellers Below, which you guys know is an incredibly powerful spell. Also has Tempest and Soul Stealer and some good healing abilities with the Berry Wine to heal up the Sisters and other valuable targets, and is pretty good in combat, right? Like 440, 50 magic damage, 440. Really not a joke. So the battle will be underway soon. Uncle for Uncle, the dreaded Great Unclean One. Really fun unit. Look at how ridiculous he looks. Could have been moving out to the middle objective, and the idea I was kind of playing for was the classic like Walking Dead style where you just send like a million units all over the map, and even if you're down trading in value, you're going to maybe win on objectives in like the 4th quarter of the game. That was kind of my game plan going into this. So Zarevek, the Feathered Prince, going to be coming out to start spamming some Blue Fires. It felt a little bit like a weird choice. I'm like, do I spam Blue Fire on the Sisters and then have them heal up and mitigate all that value? Do I use it on something else? Do I save it for the cavalry? But at the end of the day, I decided to pull the trigger and go after the Sisters, and we'll see if it pays off. So immediately they do shoot the Feathered Prince, but he does have the Protoss shields, so should be able to eat a couple shots. Blue Fire is going to go down here, so 788. The HP is going to be dropping down to, yeah, pretty good. Does about 600, 700 damage there. Not bad at all. Going to be running back into the tree line. Sisters did miss that shot. So he's going to be living in the bushes, essentially, while his shields regenerate. An Uncle for Uncle, and the Blood Shrine of Khorne. So I am a big fan of Blood Shrines. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I think they're great. The fact that they have that nice AoE buff, that's going to be making the Plague Bearers get +8 melee attack, putting them up to almost 40 melee attack, which is really good. That's kind of like Bloodletter territory. And on top of that, it causes terror, which isn't bad. I'm pretty sure it does cause terror. Yeah, no, it's only fear? What? This thing, I always thought they caused terror. Oh, wait, I think maybe the Skull Cannons do? Okay, that is really funky. I could have sworn those things cause terror. I'm getting old, I guess. But Totem of Endless Bloodletting, it does also heal in combat, making it sustainable. It has high armor, so oftentimes against Demons of Chaos, people aren't going to be bringing a ton of armor-piercing missiles, so, you know, ideally it will last some time. Really good breath attack there by Professor Pone. It does hit the Plague Bears in the middle. Also kind of tickles Uncle for Uncle's pickle here a little bit. And the Feathered Prince now going to move out. You can see the Blue Fire spam has been pretty effective, and my Nurglings on the other side were ambushed by the Wood Elves. So the Dryad's going to be coming out, popping some popcorn, and my Nurglings are going to run for the hills while we summon some Fleshhounds of Khorne. That's what's really cool about the Demons of Chaos. You have such a diverse roster. You can like play different play styles and kind of mix and match things and really complement one another, which is a faction I kind of want to experiment with. Certainly like these underdog factions that have this kind of tech. So I summoned out 2 blues here, just some blue horrors of Tzeentch, and I'm just putting a little bit of pepper into the Firebark Elders. I figure I'm not going to be able to range most of these other units. I'm like, screw it, let's just kind of unleash on them, put a little bit of pressure, maybe wear them down to the point where Uncle for Uncle can get them, and it looks like he's in combat right now. And no, he's actually good at this. He's got good armor piercing. Granted, I don't know if he's got the attack order. You know, he's kind of sitting there. He's like, hey man, what's up, Firebark Elder? I'm just going to stand here and not attack you and have a good time. Classic stuff. Obviously, it's my fault. I probably didn't issue an attack order, assumed he was fighting. So in the back, Plague Bearers, obviously in combat, will defeat Dryads. They're just a more powerful unit in general, but Professor Pone getting a beautiful Dweller's Blow. So having some really, really good plays here. And also, the Acorn to the Ages is going to be coming down. Look at the AoE damage coming in from the Wood Elves. Beautiful stuff right there. Firebark Elders are getting worn down by the blue fire shooting, and looks like Uncle for Uncle is now attacking, which is good. And Zarevek, the Feathered Prince, going to be going in for a duel while some Fleshhounds were summoned in from reserve and are going to be chasing down the archers here. And here comes the big fight in the sky as we do opt to take the fight. Sisters of Twilight are going to be fleeing the scene, running through the trees, and I am being lured into missile fire, which is certainly not good. So I shall be retreating at this point. Now, as far as this engagement goes, I have some Fleshhounds waiting in the trees, kind of waiting for him to pull his cav away. He did summon in the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, so the idea was to kind of wait and get an ambush right there. In the meantime, Blue Horrors of Tzeentch are going to be moving up, and so far the Walking Dead strategy is working well. You can see I have 20 capture weight on this objective, but ideally to play the true Walking Dead style, you do need to have all 3 objectives. So it's not perfect, but I do plan on getting it soon with the double Fleshhounds waiting in ambush in the forest. I actually really like this map. I'm going to start putting this one in some of my tournaments here, but yep, Dweller's Blow is pretty nasty in terms of the value. I'm a little bit behind, and I'm not playing like Nurgle healing, so it's not like I'm okay being behind here. Really nice play using these really fancy anti-large cavalry, so the Wild Hunters of Kurnus do come in and banish those Fleshhounds back to the warp from whence they came. And where will they go next? Certainly going to have to deal with them. So the Motorcycle of Khorne's doing pretty good. Unfortunately, it is a little bit trapped up on the Firebark Elders. Plague Bear is still grinding well. Even after the Dweller's Blow, they're still able to defeat the Dryads here, trying to get some blue horrors into the back to push the archers. And on the far side objective, you can see it's going pretty well. The double Fleshhounds will be able to tear apart those Dryads well. Blue fire spam going into the Wild Riders. So not spam, I just clicked it once there, but it has been getting spam this game. And I have Gaze of Fate as well. So I'm kind of letting the Wild Riders think they got this one. I'm like, oh no, Anakin, I'm too weak. We're going to be pulling back Plague Bearers, and normally they would be able to kind of outmaneuver here, but a lot of people aren't used to playing against the Demon Princes on the Demons of Chaos. They don't really know what to expect, which is kind of funny. So Fascination going to be going down, and that's another fun thing. If you really like the roulette, you're going to be getting random faction abilities when you play the Demons of Chaos here. So I did get Fascination, which does damage and potentially rampages this unit, but it didn't quite have the HP threshold, I guess. So I didn't get the rampage, so I do use Gaze of Fate, and now the Plague Bearers and the Motorcycle of Khorne's going to be jumping in, maybe even Zarevek. And Uncle for Uncle, I think, is coming as well. Or no, he's fleeing the scene. It wasn't going well for him in the middle, that's right. And he did drop his Spirit Leech up on the Sisters of Twilight, so getting good utility out of his magic for sure. Wild Hunters dragged down there, Fleshhounds from the reserve, so the treacherous Prince of Tzeentch doing very, very good as far as value so far. You can see in this Spectator mod, it does just show the value right out of the gates here. So currently he's gotten about 1,300 value, and we did take apart those expensive cavalry, which helped me get back in the game, because honestly, it was starting to go a little bit south. In the middle, I was getting value traded pretty badly. Here, my Plague Bearers are down. The middle objective is going to be taken by the Wood Elves here, trying to hold on to it. I do move some units back on, the Blues and the remnants of these Plague Bearers, but ultimately the Wood Elves are going to get this one. However, on this side, it did go well. The Hounds of the Blood God able to swarm in on those Dryads there, and that was not bad. So what we're going to do now, we have the objective, and I'm going to run back into the trees, so out of sight, out of mind. It's a really big thing in domination, just kind of hide things. Your opponent might be aware of it, but in the heat of a moment, they might forget, they might send something over, and you can pounce out and feast again. So that's kind of the game plan, is now I'm falling back to the tree line. I know the middle isn't going well. He's got all of his archers there, the Sisters are there with some decent ammo, the last of my units are being karate chopped. So I'm going to park Uncle for Uncle here. I'm going to park the Blood Shrine. Another blue fire going to be going down. It's at 3,700 HP. And again, they do have that heal. A little bit scary. Ariel also, I think, has Apotheosis. But man, blue fire is such a good spell. So we're going to lay a trap. I know that the Wood Elves are going to go over here. They're going to want this objective, right? So I got 3 Fleshhounds here, Screamers of Tzeentch. We're going to go after these Tzeentch, and what's going to happen next is the Wood Elves are probably going to maneuver across, right? Go for objective 3, and then Uncle for Uncle and company and the Motorcycle can maybe move to the middle objective and grab that. We'll see how it all pans out here. So Tzeentch on Dryads. Tzeentch, in theory, not terrible against demons. They do magic damage and do have anti-large, so against Fleshhounds, they're a decent choice. They do also have Earthblood and whatnot, so it gives them a little bit of utility, but Fleshhounds of Khorne Khorne are seriously no joke. Those guys hit super hard, and there are a lot of Fleshhounds coming in. Going to be charging from all angles, so we get the Fleshhounds coming in here, and we are going to be going for this round. Dryads melt incredibly quickly to Demons, simply because they rely on their physical resist very heavily. They have low melee defense, so you can see the Fleshhounds and the Screamers tearing apart this position. Flesh to Stone not going to help too much. Pone and I discussed after the game that we're like, oh yeah, that's right, he gives physical resist, so didn't quite do it. It's not armor like it used to be, because back in Warhammer 2 it used to give armor, and he was under that impression here. So the Feathered Prince going to be flying over, and looks like a complete rout of this position. We do maintain the objective. Now the Wood Elves going to be sending Ariel and the Sisters of Twilight over here, and Uncle for Uncle and the Plague Bearers, and a swarm of Nurglings going to be popping out. Nurglings are pretty damn good at stealing objectives. The Nurgle tide moving out of the tree line, moving to get those goodies. And now that the Wood Elves are looking a little bit bare, they have some archers here who are going to be shooting an Uncle for Uncle. Really, really nice Tempest from Professor Pone, so I forgot that Ariel had that, and I was like, oh no, not the Feathered Prince! He's getting pretty beat up here, and he's gotten 2,000 value so far, so he's about paid for himself. He only costs a little bit more than that. Fleshhound's going to be going after Ariel, so some of them will be jumping in to try and get some damage there. Screamers of Tzeentch also on standby, but the Wood Elves going to be summoning some reinforcements from the tree line, Treekin, as well as Dryads, so it's getting a little bit scary here. And the Fleshhound's going to be staying in combat too long. This was a big mistake on my part. Should have retreated with them, but I was just hyper-focused on not dying here and getting the bait. So, total Palpatine move here. The Sisters come in for the kill against the Feathered Prince. He snares him with the Gaze of Fate, blue fire in the face, Screamers of Tzeentch charging from the back, and now it has procced. So we see the heal going off. It does have like a 25-second windup or 30 seconds or something, but the Feathered Prince is not going to have that. He gets in there with his Pimp Cane. He's going to be doing some big damage. As he gets the uppercut, are the Sisters of Twilight going to be going down here? Most likely. Anti-large here. And the Demon Prince does take down the Sisters. That was a very big moment. That has allowed us to get back in value. Granted, I did sacrifice my Fleshhounds in my moment in my lapse of micro, so I did lose 3 Fleshhounds there. But taking out the Sisters is huge, especially considering if I didn't, they would be able to probably finish off my Lord, and that would not be good for leadership purposes. And we do also jack the middle objective. So here we get the triple Nurglings, the Plague Bearers moving up, just tanking like they're supposed to. Motorcycle of Khorne in the backfield, just running through these Starfire shafts. Fleshhounds also looking to do the same thing. But the Wood Elves are going to be getting that objective, so just taking advantage of my mobility here. And yes, Wood Elves are a very mobile faction, but their playstyle with this build wasn't as mobile. I mean, they had a dragon character, that Ariel, and a fair amount of Treekin and whatnot, right? So the mobility of my demonic unit certainly paying dues here. Well, trying to Khorne, only about 500 value here, but not bad. It's going to be useful. I could have sworn these things cause terror. I mean, how could this demonic lawnmower not cause terror? I mean, it totally should. There's so many like weird things in that game in that regard, but on the far side, Plague Bear's just sitting. And normally I'm not a huge fan of just like parking things on objectives, but considering it's a Plague Bearer and the Wood Elves are really quick and could probably Vanguard over and steal it quickly, I figure I need to. The Feathered Prince going to be popping some popcorn, but also taking out some of the Dryads with a big Vortex right here, just trying to get those army abilities. And he is weakened by something. What is that debuff? Weakened? Weakened. Base damage. Is that like something like the wounds profile? So he's got the wounds profile, but the weakened. Okay, well, I do not know what's causing that. That's kind of a strange one. Is that just like the wounds reflected in the tooltip? But it's only a short duration. Like, what's actually doing that? Anyways, Feathered Prince going to be dropping into the blue fire, and now I'm going to start going after Ariel. She is going to be using the Acorn of the Ages to wear down the Plague Bearers, but Plague Bearers are very good at surviving. Fury's coming in. Really just a desperate thing. I just didn't really have too much in my summon pool at the moment, so I was like, all right, Furies it is. Most of the Fleshhounds were still recovering at this point. And the Motorcycle of Khorne, good buffs. Putting the Fleshhounds of Khorne up to 48 melee attack, really, really nice. Also helps their leadership to prevent crumbling, and we do get into the Archer line a little bit, and the Furies are going to be attacking Tzeentch. In the meantime, though, the Wild Hunters of Avernus are back for round 2, baby, and they get a beautiful charge right there. Those are going to be doing some big, big damage into the Fleshhounds. My Motorcycle is going to be forced to run with only about 800 HP. It does have some healing capabilities, so if I can get it entrenched in combat, that would be quite good. And more Plague Bearers are going to be moving out. It's kind of like do or die, and we have caught up in value. I had a little bit of healing on Uncle for Uncle, but I think that was the only healing in my entire roster. So it is a true value, like yeah, we're truly equal in terms of value, but I have just a ton of capture weight. And the Wood Elves have a couple archers and Treekin around the battlefield, but really, I don't know if they have the tools to really push off all these Plague Bearers. Wild Hunters of Avernus here doing reasonably good, but, you know, Fury's moving in and kind of grinding them down, and Nurglings also poisoning them and just getting their little rat claws on them is certainly going to be good. And Ariel's not unbreakable like she was on launch, so we're focusing her down. We do get the Gaze of Fate, and the Feathered Prince has been an absolute monster this game, just really, really carrying super hard. He's at 3,600 value, and was able to take out the Sisters. Now going to be going after Ariel. Ariel is broken, so she'll break away from this engagement, and that's when the Hounds of Khorne are going to smell that magic in the air and potentially go for the kill. So side objective, nothing really threatening this. You know, Plague Bearers would probably take 2 Dryads to remove. So that's like, it does give me time to respond. If you're going to be investing in 2 Dryads, it'd be really easy for the Demons of Chaos player to summon some like Fleshhounds and move out there and go after that. And back in the middle, we do finally surpass the Wood Elves in value, but it looks like it's just kind of neck and neck in terms of value trading here. And Ariel is going to be hunting down by the Feathered Prince. So 1,300 value on this bad boy. Fleshhound's coming out to chase. Motorcycle of Khorne, putting the Plague Bearers melee attack up pretty high, which certainly feels good. Also their leadership. And once again, Plague Bearers just being a solid unit. I do think they're one of the better aspects of Nurgle. They hold well. Well, and you would think they'd be very vulnerable to missiles with their armor, and they are with like mass focus fire, but you know, if your opponent doesn't have like 100 missile pieces, they have a big HP pool and can certainly tank, and in melee, they're very tough to finish off for sure. Like, I like Plague Bearers a lot against like Beastmen and things like that. I feel like Beastmen really do struggle to get through them. Even with Minotaurs, they kind of hold their own. And more cavalry coming in, Glade Riders trying to keep me from getting up onto the point, but you can see we got a pretty good capture weight lead. It's like 1 infantry worth of capture weight. And on the side, Ariel's going to be getting chased down. Currently, the value is pretty much impossible to come back. We could Helm's Deep on our back objective, so the Feathered Prince is going to be cackling once more in the deep as the Fleshhounds do deny the last cap here. And that is going to be GG well played. So looking forward to trying some more Demons of Chaos. I had a lot of fun that game. I think they have a lot of... It's cool to be able to use Tzeentch units and Nurgle units and Khorne units. Obviously, you do have Seekers of Slaanesh as well, so that's going to be good against like any cavalry faction. Very glass cannony, though, even with Plague Bearers. You know, the armor's light, so... You got to be really, really kind of methodical with your positions. But obviously, I think the build I brought is pretty competitive, with the exception of Uncle for Uncle. Like, everything here is competitive and good. Maybe the Blood Shrine is a little bit niche, but I like it with my playstyle. If you wanted to make this competitive, you'd probably cut Uncle for Uncle and just mix in more of what's good, like Fleshhounds or... I don't know. Seekers against Wood Elves probably not that good because you don't have Hellstriders. You don't have the overpowered cap, right? So you can't bring those. But yeah, you could just get more stuff. You get some Exalted Plague Bearers in there, whatever. There's plenty of options. So GG, well played opponent. It was quite a bit of fun. Sisters did okay, but they got caught in the trap. Ariel was a real beast, though. I feel like you could almost cut Sisters and just go Ariel as your lord against demons with like Tempest and bring more stuff. But yeah, Sisters aren't bad. I think the dragons may be overkill against demons, although I don't know. Yeah, Be'lakor would probably be able to hunt the dragon. Zotes definitely didn't perform well. Granted, I see the application. They did get surrounded, though, in a pretty bad engagement. I mean, 3 Fleshhounds and anti-large Screamers on top, that's going to be rough. So, GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the dreaded Feathered Prince. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.